Honest question. If the United States was an apartheid state, would you be able to recognize that and admit it? Because if you think about it, like, what is an apartheid state? Like, effectively, the simple version, this is like very reductive, but you have like different laws for different groups of people. And in historical examples of apartheid, and even like current ones, like with occupied Palestine, what we call Israel, which I don't even think you can really call it a state, because states are supposed to have laws that are equally enforced. People are supposed to have rights, but you quite literally have different laws for Palestinians, for religious non-Jewish people and Jewish people. Zionists in particular seem to be treated as if they are, I hate to say supremacists, I think they're malignant narcissists. But the ideology is supremacist. Like, they think they are the most moral and the most just, so whatever they do is right, and whatever they do to other people is justified, and whatever other people do in opposition is somehow evil and immoral, and whatever's done to them, no matter what you do, is justified, including raping them with dogs and their prisoners. But in the United States, we have very similar dynamics. Like, even going back to when settlers came over here, Columbus and people following, one group is treated completely differently. Same dynamics as the Zionists. They went in, called other people savages, and committed genocide, stole their land. It's settler colonialism. It's imperialism. Completely in contravention of any sense of any laws at all. And we still have effectively apartheid conditions in this country for Native American Indians. Like, they're stuck on little reservations. The only things that they're afforded at all are things that known are to be largely destructive for people, if that's all they have. And the harms, have never really been addressed for African American people who were brought here forcibly. 400 years of slavery and other policies, like whenever they were, like they had to free themselves. They had to work for freedom. They had to work for civil rights. Same thing with women. Different groups of people that were immigrants that were disfavored here. Our poor, huddled masses longing to be free were treated like they were criminals. They were met with heinous racism. And who is that by? It's mostly like white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, men, like evangelical men. Some women that are like kind of pick-me's. Like there's still this like hierarchy thing. And, a lot of times it's shielded by religion. Like the people that have the most heinous views and treatment of other people, that's completely unjustified. They do violence against other people, whether it's social violence or physical violence or violence on a systemic level, where you deprive people of opportunities to have freedom, have rights, have access to various components of civic society, various options to gain wealth. Like, there's a lot of gatekeeping that happens in America, but because it gets legitimized, because it's something that is just accepted as a norm, and if people don't scrutinize it, they're not really looking at it for what it is. And I would argue, like, the United States is an apartheid state, and the people that are in charge of the Republican regime right now are trying to effectively turn all of that up to 11. Like, they're basically saying, I don't want these people here, so we're just going to take them out one way or another. Well, whether they get used as illegal slaves, whether they are sent to a torture facility, or they're sent somewhere else where they're sold as slaves. Like, we literally have taken people to the Congo where there's an ongoing genocide. We are violating international law, violating people's asylum claims, leaving people in limbo who are very unsafe. There is no consideration for human life, human dignity. There is no recognition that we are all human beings deserving of rights, universal human rights. And they're just discriminating against brown people. I mean, like, literally our highest court in the land makes the argument that ICE can stop you. Customs and Border Patrol agents can just stop you because you're speaking Spanish and you look Hispanic or Latino. Meanwhile, like, this country didn't always look like it does in terms of its so-called borders, which borders are just a colonialist invention. And I would argue whether religion is a colonialist invention or whether it's just used as a tool for colonialists, it's a distinction without a difference in terms of my views on it. I detest any form of violence, whether it's social, physical, or state and structural. And also, like, indoctrination, like, is just straight up a form of abuse. Like, I reject anything that, you know, people are exposed to and things are forced on them without express, informed consent. If you have the capacity to understand, you have to understand what you're signing up for, and you also have you have to be afforded the opportunity to opt out at any time. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm almost certain, because a lot of people don't think about this kind of stuff this way. I think most of the people who might comment are going to say, "No, you're crazy. You know, you're just like a lefty lunatic or whatever. You're delusional." All that defensive nonsense that I just find intellectually dishonest. I'm not saying you can't disagree with me, but the principle is the case. Like, a lot of the harms that are done, especially still to black and brown people, people that want to come here from another country. Like, I need people to ask themselves an honest question here. What the hell separates you, someone who is, let's say you're born on American soil, in the United States of America, North America, right? Because America's not just North America. It's not. The Americas include North and South America and all those other territories. And Canada too, right? Further north. But what's the difference between, or is there a difference between you born on the territories in the United States versus someone who was born anywhere else in the world? I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. I see two human beings deserving of full human rights. And I think the very idea of someone having different rights and different protections and different freedoms and different access because of a border, I'm sorry, but I think if you think it is reasonable to have different rights for people just because of the soil that they were born on, I think you believe in apartheid. And I think that's fundamentally immoral, unethical, unjust. And that kind of idea is one of the reasons why we have established international law. And I understand that what happens when you have laws that are not consistently acted upon and enforced, they merely become suggestions, and that's a problem. And the fact that the United States and Israel are probably the two biggest offenders of international law. I'm not saying all other countries are excused from this complaint that I'm making here. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, when you have the so-called, like, superpowers, like the United States, and Israel's like our aircraft carrier, effectively, it's an attack dog. It's our excuse to engage in crimes, terrorism throughout the world. I mean, what even is the United States but kind of a corporate cartel with a military? Because we go around the world and just bully other countries. We have the nerve, people here, to complain about migration here when we destroy other countries on a regular basis, when we strip people of opportunities, when the conditions get so bad they have to leave. We often make the conditions bad on purpose to undermine sovereign nations. Guys, we have to reckon with the truth. If we are ever going to have a better nation state, and more broadly, a better world for all of us, I do not have any obligation to endorse or just merely go along with violence, state violence, social violence, physical violence, and mass violence. Like, if your concept of a nation state is largely built on the idea that you can just go and loot, rape, pillage, and brutalize the world with your barbarism and your racism, I think you're an apartheid state that needs to be needs to face a lot of change, a lot of reform. Elements of what you're doing need to be fundamentally undermined until they're broken. Like, in the world, the only nations that really need some kind of regime change are the ones that are doing the most harm to their own people and to people all around the world. And I'm sorry to say that it's consistently been the United States and Israel, and I think both states, you can make that case that they've done that since their inception. We are not honest about our country, and I'm not saying everything we do is bad, but there is a lot of stained benefits that we have enjoyed without really thinking about them, without thinking about how they got there. And things have to change, and I don't think you can at all justify an apartheid state. Any so-called supremacist ideology is based on lies. There's no supreme people. There's no people that are deserving of different rights than anyone else. There's no country or state or locality that is special and deserving of different treatment than any other. We are all just freaking human beings. We have needs. We should have full human rights. Nobody has a right to sit there and do violence against us. We don't have any right to do violence against others. It's not that complicated. But people that want to be greedy, uncaring, sociopaths, malignant narcissists, will go so far as people like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and many others. I'm not saying that's exclusively on the right, but it's largely on the right. People that don't even bother justifying this stuff anymore. They're just like, well, we're just better. And these people, like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, the members of the PayPal mafia, literally came from an apartheid state of South Africa. They like apartheid. That's what they want. And effectively, that's what they're doing. Like, their ideology is fascist. It's a death cult. If you want proof, just read the Palantir manifesto thing, which is basically just a fascist template. They're just saying it out loud. And I don't want this. And I'm ashamed of what our nation's doing. I think we could do better. I think we all can do better, and I think we all deserve better. And we have to stop the violence. We have to stop acting like we're better than everyone else. This mentality of, like, the exceptionalism of Zionism, the exceptionalism of Christian nationalism, the evangelical Christian hysteria that has, like, they effectively divorce themselves from morality, humanity, decency. Like, none of this stuff is based on, like, a rational view of anything. It's just it's similar to the American exceptionalism argument, the manifest destiny argument, which was always nonsense. Like, that's my main complaint as an atheist, as an agnostic atheist, when it comes to religion. And I separate these things. So if you have religious beliefs and practices, and they're genuinely a positive thing in your life, and you're not hurting anyone else, we have no problems. But when you start doing violence against other people, you start diminishing other people, you start dehumanizing other people, and you basically claim you have moral authority over other people, I'm sorry, but that's dangerous. It is a dangerous ideology when you use this unjustifiable, inarguable, unchallengeable hierarchy of saying, what I'm doing is justified by God. How do we even have a discussion from there? How do you resolve that when you have two opposing parties where one says God is with me, the other side says God is with me, and we're going to go to war, or we're going to go settle a place, and you have two opposing sides, both supposedly backed by a deity. How do you resolve that? It's unfalsifiable. There's no argument. And I would argue those should be default rejected. Like, no, like you're just justifying, like you have decided to do mass violence. We know mass violence is criminal and human beings should reject it. I think doing the violence against our planet is a serious problem. It results in mass violence. It results in, like, I consider it like the climate polluters, the biggest ones especially, are committing ecocide. Mass species death, degrading of our ecosystem is going to end all of us. It's going to cause a human extinction. That's violence. Eradicating groups of people or moving people out of a given land is mass violence. It's unjustifiable. There's no saying this is okay because my deity condones it, because I read it in a text and I interpret it the way I wanted to. So I kind of jumped around there a little bit, but I hope this is clear, and I want to get your thoughts, because like I'd like you guys to like look at the frameworks for past apartheids, really look hard at the creation and the history of occupied Palestine that we call Israel, and look at the project that they're doing right now. They're expanding into other territories. You look at the maps of what Israel's territories were, and now they're expanding into Lebanon. You look at, I don't think a lot of people are paying that much attention to what's happening in the United States. Like, effectively, Republican Party is trying to weaken the blue states and overtake them. And that is a kind of apartheid. It is a kind of mass violence and attempt to control a population group. Like, they're trying to silence anybody that's in opposition, and they have deported people for merely disagreeing on things. They're going after trans people. They're going after women's right to vote. They're going after minorities' rights to vote. They're going after kids' rights to vote, college students. They're trying to engage in voter suppression. They're trying to create a one-party state, a fascist, theocratic, techno-feudalist, kakistocracy, mobocracy. I mean, like, there's so much that's going on that a lot of people just don't have the bandwidth to pay attention to, and I make it a point to follow as much as I can and get as much information as I can from credible sources, and independent voices that actually, that are backed up by the journalists that they follow, and the written works of people that are serious with getting the facts right. But what do you think? If America was an apartheid state, would you be able to tell? What kinds of things would you be looking out for? Or, like, if not, what would have to happen for you to consider the United States an apartheid state? Is there any reason why you would think maybe we're not yet, but it seems like that's what they're trying to do? Because that's what I'm seeing. Like, literally, like, they shut all the immigration down, or trying to, for black and brown people all over the world, and they're only bringing in white South Africans. That a lot of them are going back. Like, they're lying and saying that they're being exposed to genocide, which isn't true. It's not true at all. I don't know if, like, Trump is just lying, or the information he got was false. But the South Afrikaners that came here, a lot of them are saying, no, we don't want to stay here. Like, this place is, like, way worse than South Africa. How's that one for you guys? For people that call themselves MAGA. You have people from South Africa that say where they came from was better than coming here because of our healthcare system, because of costs, because we have prioritized greedy white people. Again, that's the privileged class that seems to have completely different rights. Like, if you don't believe me, look at any time we have white people that are powerful, that have money. What happens to them most of the time when they commit crimes? That's right, basically nothing. Or they get a pardon from Donald Trump or other Republicans. Like, they pardoned like 96 people that committed some of the worst fraud in history. And also, they canceled the restitution that they were supposed to be giving the victims that were won in court. Like, people that were supposed to serve 20 years in prison, they got let out. And also the money that they were supposed to pay back people that got ripped off, that got canceled. So people that lost money that were supposed to be owed money, that got stopped. And that's happened many, many, many times. And that's just the ones that have actually, like, it's hard enough to get these people to court, to get judgments, to get them to go to jail, and to get them to have to pay people back, which a lot of times is nowhere near what the kinds of profits that they made. They stole, like Medicaid fraud, Medicare fraud. Like, I never want to hear Republicans complain about waste, fraud, and abuse ever again. Like, I'll listen on a case-by-case basis, but most of the time, I know they're fucking lying. That party represents the people that I'm talking about. The kind of privileged class, the Epstein class, the billionaire class. And I'm sick of it. And I know Democrats support them too. That's the establishment corporate Democrats. There's not that many, like, progressive, like, sort of center on the political spectrum. Center left or center right, whatever. The center is supposed to be where the most of the country is. And it's not like you think, but because people get the pragmatic thing wrong. But we got problems, guys, and I want you to think about this. Think about the apartheid question. And I would argue, if you disagree with me, I think you're probably not looking hard enough at the actual reality of what it's like in America to be black or brown or a woman, especially if you're black, especially if you are an American Indian, especially if you're a woman in this country, and especially if you're like born poor and you don't really have that many opportunities. It's kind of like a class-based thing, but I don't know, or maybe there's a better analogy for what kind of system that we have. But I wouldn't remotely call it a meritocracy. It's not that at all. Thanks.